Glad to have you with us here on Seattle Seahawks today. I am merely Tyler Jones here, and we are talking roster bubble candidates as mandatory minicamp gets underway today. I got 4 players who are on the roster bubble. Are they in or are they out? Are they going to make the 53-man roster or not? We'll give you our insights and analysis coming up in just a matter of moments here on today's show. Before we do, this month here on Seahawks Today, our most liked video was about 401 likes. The bosses said, Tyler, you got to do better than that. We can get more than 401 likes. So here's what I'm asking for. Hashtag Bernie Sanders meme. I'm only asking for this. Can we get 410 likes off today's video? Like it up. Do your part. Let's break the like record for the month of June. We'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with Coby Bryant. And I know this is going to be a surprise to many people, but hear me out on this when it comes to the third-year safety out of Cincinnati. Coby Bryant is a guy that kind of reminds me of a great quote from one of the best philosophers of our time, one of my favorite TV characters, Ron Swanson. Ron Swanson once said, "Never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing." And the thing with Coby Bryant, I know that he does a number of things. We've seen him play corner. We've seen him play safety, primarily on special teams. But he's not great at any of the things that he's been asked. He's had a few flashes in the pan, if you will. But when you look at this next era of Seahawks football with a new coaching staff, with Mike Macdoandl coming in and how they're going to do things, you look at a guy like Coby Bryant, who is primarily a special teams player right now, and I think you say to yourself, you don't need a special teams exclusive player to take up a 53-man roster spot. If Coby Bryant is going to be on this roster and be an impact player, he's going to have to hone in on whether it's the safety spot or the corner position and take his play up another notch forward. Because bottom line, think about this, folks. Coby Bryant in his career, in the first 2 seasons in the National Football League, he has missed a total of 11% of his tackle attempts in his career. That's obviously a problem at corner. It's even a bigger problem at the safety position. And when it comes to coverage, he hasn't been that great either. He's allowed a QB rating of nearly 110 on opposing quarterbacks. So, in a nutshell, that ain't good. That ain't going to fly for Coby Bryant here. We've seen him play quite a bit. There was high expectations. Remember, he was picked before Rick Wollen was a couple years ago out of Cincinnati. The Jim Thorpe Award winner, 26 career games played, 8 career starts. We've seen him at corner. We've seen him at safety. But whatever position it is, and it sounds like safety is the more likely one, they need him to take a step up. Because here's what we're looking at, folks. The numbers last year in those 9 games he played, and remember, he was hurt for a bit, were not anything to write home about. Just 18 tackles, 1 forced fumble, didn't have any pass breakups, didn't have any interceptions, no tackles for loss. Coby Bryant's got work to do. And believe me, I like Coby Bryant. I hope that he steps up. But if he doesn't, then the Seahawks might have a decision to make here in the coming weeks. If you want the Seahawks to keep Coby Bryant, we're going to throw 8. 8 for Coby in the comments section. If you want him to stick around and keep a roster spot, type 8 and show some love for Coby Bryant. Folks, we are getting so close to 52.5 thousand subscribers here on the channel. Less than 80 away from reaching that next milestone. For the latest happenings on your Seattle Seahawks throughout all of mandatory minicamp, counting you down to training camp, 2 live shows a week, daily news and rumors, breaking news and more. We are your off-season headquarters. Subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. Lock us in for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Now, let's talk P.J. Walker. I know, he just got here, and he's already on the roster bubble, right? Well, we'll explain here what we're meaning by this, how a guy that just showed up is on the roster bubble. Bottom line, when you look at this Seahawks team, traditionally speaking, John Schneider has not been one to want to carry more than 2 quarterbacks on a 53-man roster. And rightfully so, when you look at just the likelihood of needing 3 quarterbacks, it's very rare. I think everybody thinks of that NFC Championship game that Niners lost to the Eagles a couple years ago when they had a number of quarterbacks go down in that game, but that doesn't hardly happen. If you're P.J. Walker, what the Seahawks need to see out of him in minicamp in the coming weeks ahead They need him to ball out and show why he's worth keeping as a third QB option, even if it is just as a practice squad quarterback that they could potentially elevate if they need be. Because if he doesn't look that great, then the Seahawks are going to go try to find another third option potentially of free agents that may exist. Because we've seen P.J. Walker have some moments, right? Playing for the Colts, Panthers, Bears, Browns. He started several games, 9 to be exact, 5-4 record. We saw what he did in the XFL with the Houston Roughnecks a couple of years ago when he was the de facto MVP of that league, led the XFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns, 5-0 record, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But you fast forward to now, he has not been the same guy we saw in the XFL a couple of years ago. If your completion percentage is 48.6%, that's not going to fly even as the practice squad number 3 quarterback, right? P.J. Walker, if he's going to earn a spot, if he belongs in this team, he has got to show up better than what we've seen as of late from P.J. Walker here in the National Football League. What do you think about P.J. Walker? Should he stick around in Seattle? Find a role, carve out for him, whether it's on the active roster or a practice squad spot. Let us know what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Next up on our list, we turn our attention to linebacker John Rhattigan. John Rhattigan, very well liked, very well respected among the Seattle Seahawks for the former undrafted player out of Army. But bottom line, when it comes to John Rhattigan, they haven't seen a ton of production on the football field in his time in Seattle to this point, as right now he's looking at being about the 4th best option in this linebacker room that doesn't have a ton of depth as is. And you're looking at paying him around $3 million to keep him around. That just doesn't add up. If you're the Seahawks, if you don't see something from Rhattigan here in the coming weeks, then now would be the time to cut your losses and potentially move on when it comes to John Rhattigan. You look at the statistics. Had a career high in tackles last year with 17. He's played in 36 career games. But Rhattigan, for the most part, has been a special teams guy. And much like what we talked about with Coby Bryant here, you're not looking to keep guys around that are just special teams players. You need to see a little bit more. Now, in a perfect world for John Rhattigan, maybe he's a do-everything guy like Nick Bellore was, but that wasn't even enough to keep Nick Bellore around as far as that goes. Now, here is an idea, a happy compromise of sorts that the Seahawks could potentially look at, because they do have that lack of depth at the position at linebacker. What the Seahawks could end up doing is cutting Rhattigan to save the $3 million for now and then re-sign him for less, around $1 million for this upcoming season. Then you save some cash and you're able to use that for other things, whether it's signing other players or freeing up some money for whatever it may be for a trade. That could be the happy medium that works for everybody involved if you want to keep John Rhattigan in Seattle, but there's no need to pay him at least $3 million for this upcoming season. Who's a player the Seahawks should cut? We've gone through a couple names that are on the chopping block. Still got one more to get to, but want to hear from you guys first. Name a player the Seahawks should move on from. Last on our list, you knew it was coming, Dee Eskridge, the Seahawks wide receiver / kick return specialist. And when you look into Dee Eskridge, I know that the statistics aren't very good for him, and we'll show you those here in just a second. But even further, thinking about his potential role, all right, he hasn't done a good job of getting on the football field, the receiver spot. He is viewed as a return specialist, but only as a kick return specialist. Remember, he's never returned punts, not at the college level, not at the NFL level. I have no reason to think that Dee Eskridge all of a sudden is going to become a effective punt returner when he's never done that either. So don't be fooled just because the NFL has these new kickoff rules that it would be good for them to keep Dee Eskridge around just for that. The Seahawks have other guys that can do other things in addition to the kick return coverage that would make more sense than keeping Dee Eskridge around in that spot. You look at the statistics. Here's what we're talking about. It ain't pretty for Dee Eskridge and what he's done in his career. With no catches last year off of just one target. He did have a couple of run plays that he was a part of, but that's it, folks. 17 catches for his entire career with 122 yards and one touchdown. It has not been a good run for Dee Eskridge to this point. Also had the suspension last year as well. So we'll see what the Seahawks do, but it ain't looking good for Dee Eskridge. He's got a lot of work to do over the coming weeks. Who's a player the Seahawks should keep? Weigh in the comment section. Give me a name that comes to mind that you would like to see stay in Seattle. Maybe it's somebody on this list. Maybe it's another roster bubble candidate. Weigh in, let us know. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time with continuing mandatory minicamp coverage right here on Seahawks Today.